What's going on, everyone? Tim Brady from Engineer Lineup back with another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about the 2018 Chicago Bears, how they may be 2018's most surprising team. Now real quick, if this is the first time you're visiting my channel, I make fantasy football videos, so if that's something you'd be interested in, consider subscribing below. Now let's get into it. So the Bears have struggled for the last few years as they were 3-13 in 2016 and they finished 2017 at 5-11. And this offseason, they fired their head coach, John Fox, and hired Kansas City's offensive coordinator as their new head coach, Matt Nagy. Now last year in Kansas City, Matt Nagy was extremely successful as his team went 10-6, and his offense was 6th in total points, 5th in total yards, 7th in passing yards, 10th in passing TDs, and 9th in rushing yards. Now Kansas City got off to a hot start and then they kind of hit this dead point where the offense was struggling, and that's when finally Andy Reid handed over the play calling to Matt Nagy. Bingo. And it happened in week 13, and then from that point on to the end of the season, Kansas City was 2nd in total yards, 5th in passing and rushing yards, 8th in rushing TDs, and most importantly, 1st in offensive yards per play. So yeah, the Bears have the offensive juggernaut as their head coach. And most importantly, although Matt Nagy is the head coach, he is still going to be calling the offensive plays for the Bears in Chicago. Now, in addition to Matt Nagy, the Bears also hired a new offensive coordinator, Mark Helfrich. Now, Mark Helfrich's previous assignment was Oregon's head coach, and he actually has 0 NFL experience. However, being under Matt Nagy, I have confidence in this team's offensive outlook. And the defensive coordinator is the same as it was in 2017, and that's Vic Fangio. These freaking names. And rightfully so, because the Bears have been above average on defense. So in terms of their offensive line, Pro Football Focus had them ranked as the 11th overall offensive line in 2017, while Football Outsiders had them ranked 28th in run blocking and 23rd in pass protection. So the rankings from these two sites are different in this case. However, keep in mind that Jordan Howard was 6th in rushing yards in 2017. And though he did get a lot of attempts, you really can't do that unless you do have a solid offensive line. Also keep in mind that the Bears were playing with a rookie quarterback under center for most of the year, which leads to rookie mistakes, and often rookies hold on to the ball too long, which may hurt the offensive line's rating. In addition, also keep in mind that with the rookie quarterback, defenses were testing the Bears as they were stacking the box, making it harder for them to create running lanes. And my final note is the Bears did address their offensive line in the draft as they took James Daniels in the 2nd round from Iowa, who will be their starting left guard. Now, if there is one solid thing to take away from the Bears last year, it's their defense. So last year, Football Outsiders had their defense ranked as number 15 overall, number 14 in pass DVOA, and number 13 in rush DVOA. And on the year, they were 5th in passing TDs allowed, 9th in rushing TDs allowed, 7th in passing yards allowed, 9th in points allowed, and 10th in total yards allowed. So they were top 10 in all those categories. In addition, some of the offseason moves that may have gone unnoticed was the fact that they re-signed Prince Amukamara, and they fought and they got Kyle Jackson back. Also spending their 8th overall pick in the 2018 draft on outside linebacker Roquan Smith. So the Bears defense with the same defensive coordinator should be solid again, if not better, in 2018. So let's get right into the key player that's going to make this offense tick in 2018, and that's Mitchell Trubisky, the quarterback. So the biggest thing that Mitch Trubisky has going for him in 2018 is the fact that John Fox is not returning and new head coach Matt Nagy is coming in. You see, John Fox was extremely conservative with Trubisky in 2017 as the Bears were last in passing attempts, last in passing yards, 31st in passing TDs, 29th in points, and 30th in yards. So his offense was not very good. In addition, Mitch Trubisky had the 2nd worst TD percentage at 2.1% in 2017. But in Trubisky's defense, he did not have the weapons in Chicago to succeed last year. But that has changed. The Bears went out and got who they feel like was their true #1 wide receiver and Allen Robinson. They also got another wide receiver, Taylor Gabriel, to complement him. They brought in Matt Nagy, which will boost players like Tariq Cohen in the offense. You also got a nice tight end in Trey Burton from the Eagles. So the ball's in Trubisky's court this year as he has all the weapons to succeed now. He just needs to prove that he can do it. So in 2018, Trubisky definitely has some sleeper potential, and given the fact that in 1 QB leagues, quarterbacks are not taking a lot, he probably won't be a draftable asset, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets really hot in 2018 and he ends up on a lot of people's rosters. Now the starting running back for the Bears is Jordan Howard. And in 2017, he finished as the RB9 standard and RB11 in PPR. He had 276 attempts, 1,122 yards, and 9 touchdowns. That put him in 5th in attempts amongst running backs, 6th in rushing yards, and tied for 3rd in rushing TDs in 2017. Now, a lot of people get on Jordan Howard because he's not a great pass catching running back. In addition, he did have his ups and downs in 2017, but keep in mind, because there was a rookie quarterback, defenses were looking to make Mitch Trubisky beat them, not Jordan Howard, as Jordan Howard faced 8+ men in the box for 43% of his carries, which was the 7th highest in the NFL in 2017. Now I'm seeing the consensus kind of move slowly away from Jordan Howard, but personally I do like Jordan Howard at the value that he's going at, simply because I think Matt Nagy's change in the offensive system will open things up and create a passing game, which should create running games as a result for Jordan Howard. So Tarik Cohen should get more involvement in the offense, cutting into Jordan Howard's 73% of the carries that he had in 2017. However, as I just mentioned, I believe the entire offensive development that Matt Nagy will implement in Chicago will make things easier for Jordan Howard and make him more efficient. Thus, in 2018, I see him returning to RB1 value again. And if you have your doubts, just keep in mind that he rushed for 1,000 yards each of the last 2 seasons and returned RB1 value despite the team going 3-13 in 2016 and then 5-11 in 2017. So if the team's better, and we all know that running backs and players on better teams produce more fantasy points, 2018 it should be no different. And the other running back on the Bears roster is Tarik Cohen. Now Tarik Cohen finished 2017 as the RB40 in standard leagues and the RB30 in PPR leagues. However, he did have weekly finishes as an RB2, an RB18, an RB14, and RB13. So there is some potential there. Now Cohen in 2017 had 87 attempts of 370 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, with 53 receptions for 353 yards and 1 touchdown. It's also worth noting that in John Fox's old school offense, he had 71 targets, which I expect to go up probably close near the 80s, as he only played in 36 of the team's snaps in 2017, and he was utilized in less than half of them at 44%. But things should change for the better in 2018. Insert Matt Nagy. You see, the Bears' primary running back, Jordan Howard, the one knock on him is that he's a really bad pass-catching running back. And in Matt Nagy's system, he gets really creative with his running backs, especially in the passing game, which is where Tarik Cohen is going to fit in perfectly in his system. And right now, at the time I'm making this video, Tarik Cohen has a fantastic draft price, as he's really low in drafts. However, I see him in 2018 as his outlook being as an RB3 flex play that you can plug in on a bye week, because I think he's going to be really involved in this offense in a creative manner and rack up those receptions. So I'll be looking for him later in my draft if he's still available, and I think you should too, as I think he's going to have some weeks where he's really going to blow up in this Bears offense. Now, the biggest offseason acquisition for the Chicago Bears in 2018 was Allen Robinson. Now, there's some serious polarity going on with Allen Robinson, as some people believe that 2015 was a fluke year and he's not a true wide receiver 1, while others believe that this is his year, he's going to come back and be a wide receiver 1. So in 2016, he finished as the wide receiver 28 in PPR and the wide receiver 29 in standard. However, many thought this was a disappointment, as in 2015, he finished as the wide receiver 6 in PPR and the wide receiver 4 in standard leagues. However, it is worth noting that in 2015, when Robinson had his monster year, it was Blake Bortles' second year as a QB in the NFL. And just so that you don't miss my point, it's Trubisky's second year in 2018. Now, Allen Robinson is recovering from an ACL tear. However, he did that in week 1, so he had plenty of time to recover. Now, my 2018 outlook for him may be lower than some people are anticipating, as I see him as a mid-level wide receiver 2, and here's why. Now, a ton of people are making the comparison between the 2017 LA Rams to the 2018 Chicago Bears, and the fact that the Bears could flip around that franchise in the span of this year. However, I do think it's going to take longer than that. See, I just think that the Bears have too many moving parts to be firing full force coming out of the gates in 2018, as I think that it may take it half a season for them to really start clicking. So you have a new head coach come in with a new offensive scheme, and you have new players in Taylor Gabriel, Allen Robinson, Trey Burton, with a second-year QB who still has a lot of improvements to still make. Therefore, I don't think that Allen Robinson is going to be immediately a wide receiver 1 right off the bat. Sure, he'll get his targets, he'll get his opportunities, and if he finishes a wide receiver 1, I wouldn't be surprised, but realistically, I think he's more of a wide receiver 2. So in addition to Allen Robinson, the Bears went out and they signed Taylor Gabriel to become their number 2 wide receiver on their depth chart. Now in 2017, Taylor Gabriel really wasn't fantasy relevant as he finished as the wide receiver 74 in PPR, the wide receiver 80 in standard leagues. However, in 2016, he was better as he finished as the wide receiver 42 in standard leagues and the wide receiver 53 in PPR leagues. And one of the big reasons why Taylor Gabriel kind of dipped out of fantasy relevance in 2017 is that his snap count was really low at 53% in 2017 with the Atlanta Falcons. Now he becomes the wide receiver 2 in Chicago, and last year Matt Nagy's offense ran 2 wide receiver sets 84% of the time. So Taylor Gabriel is going to see a huge jump in snap counts. However, as you can tell from this video, the Bears have acquired quite a few weapons this offseason. New weapons such as Allen Robinson and Trey Burton, as well as old weapons such as Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen, who in my opinion will get utilized more in the offense over Taylor Gabriel. So therefore in 2018, I see Taylor Gabriel more as a wide receiver 4, more of a plug and play option if the matchup is right in 2018. So the Bears spent their 2nd round pick on wide receiver Anthony Miller from Memphis. And per ESPN, though Miller flashes the ability to make difficult catches, he bobbles and drops passes he should field cleanly. Ball security is a concern and he's on the smaller side, but he has skills and toughness to develop into a productive sub-package receiver who primarily works out of the slot and potentially contributes on special teams. Per RotoWorld, Anthony Miller sits as the number 4 wide receiver on the depth chart. However, the buzz in the media is saying that Anthony Miller will surpass Josh Bellamy as the 3rd wide receiver on the Bears depth chart in 2018. So in my 2018 drafts, if it's my last pick, before a defense and a kicker obviously, and Anthony Miller is still on the board, I'll take him as a late round flyer, but that's just about it. People are a lot higher on him than I am, and here's kind of why I'm pulling the brakes on him. Last year in Kansas City, Matt Nagy ran 3 wide receiver sets 54% of the time, which is below the average of 59%. So ideally, unless he surpasses Taylor Gabriel on the depth chart as the number 2 wide receiver in Chicago, then he's probably not going to get enough snaps or playing time in order to be fantasy relevant, in my opinion. And if he surpasses Taylor Gabriel, I doubt it will be right out of camp. Rather, it will be later in the season or if Taylor Gabriel gets injured. So rather than spending a kind of reaching for him as a high pick and having him eat up a spot on your roster, I'd rather take him as a late round or last pick in my draft. That way, I don't feel obligated to keep my bench and I'm willing to pick someone up off the waivers for him. Now the Bears starting tight end is newly acquired Trey Burton, formerly of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now Trey Burton has never had a starting role before as he's always kind of been the backup to Zach Ertz, and now is his time to shine. Because in the starts where Zach Ertz was injured, especially last year, in week 9 he was the tight end 7, and then in week 14 he was the tight end 1. Now if you look at Matt Nagy's offense last year in Kansas City, they had a monster tight end that they utilized in Travis Kelce. Now I don't think Trey Burton will be on Travis Kelce's level, but I think that the offensive system will look similar, and I think Trey Burton will be a huge part of the Bears offense. You see, last year in Kansas City, Matt Nagy's offense ran a 2 tight end, 1 running back, 2 wide receiver set 24% of his offensive plays, which is good for 7th most in the NFL. Now, normally on these plays, you have 1 tight end that stays in to block, and then 1 goes out and becomes a pass catcher. Now, Matt Nagy has already come out and said that Trey Burton will be that pass-catching tight end, and he'll line him up in the slot. Now, that's a really good sign for Trey Burton in 2018, as in 2017, the tight ends own 23% of the entire Bears target share. So in 2018, I got Trey Burton down as a tight end 1 in the tight end 5-6 range, so be on the lookout for him in your drafts. And finally, I'll touch on the 2 remaining wide receivers on the Bears depth chart, and that's Josh Bellamy and Kevin White. Now, Josh Bellamy currently sits as the 3rd wide receiver on the depth chart. However, as mentioned earlier in the video, I believe Anthony Miller will surpass him in the depth chart and be the true wide receiver 3, thus making Josh Bellamy pretty much fantasy irrelevant. Now, Kevin White was the 7th overall pick by the Bears in 2015. And yeah, he's shown some glimpse of potential. However, the guy is like made of glass and he cannot stay healthy. So he currently resides as a wide receiver 5 on the Bears depth chart. And the fact that the Bears did not pick up his 5th-year option makes me believe that they're getting a head start on moving on from him. So potential may be shown in training camp and he may move up on the depth chart. However, I warn you, please do not waste a draft pick on him if hype starts building behind him. He's way too injury prone, and I think you'll get burned if you waste a draft pick on him. So that about sums it up for the 2018 Chicago Bears. As you can see, the team dynamic is starting to shift in Chicago. Let me know down in the comments what you guys feel, if you agree or disagree with the comments I made in this video. And as always, you guys can hit me up on my social media accounts, and I'll be glad to help you out with any video suggestions or fantasy football questions. So as always, thanks for watching, guys.